compact cavity, it doesn't suck in too much air, make noise, and also it's quite efficient in propelling water, again based on a golden section spiral that's found in the design of a seashell. Some of the classical buildings in Greece, in Athens, on the Acropolis, were some amazing buildings. One of them was the Parthenon, a temple to the goddess Athene of Athens. And various people have looked at the design of it, although we've really only got ruins left today, to say, why does it look such a pleasing building? Why is it so nice? What are the design principles in it? Well, we haven't really got any plans written down about it. Nothing seems to exist. We know there was an architect called Phidias involved who did some of the statues. And from Phidias we get the name, the first Greek letter phi, which is used for this proportion, which some people say you can see in a lot of places in the design of the Parthenon. So after Edouard Lucas had written about the mathematical properties of the Fibonacci numbers and it was kind of rediscovered again, then around 1900 there was another book called On Growth and Form by Darcy Thompson, and that was really trying to look at the whole, could you describe in a kind of unifying form the way that the shapes of fish are related to the shapes of horses and even the shape of the human body. And they were interested in seeing if the golden section applied to that, if it appears in plants and it appears in seashells. Well, that goes back really to Leonardo da Vinci, who had his, in one of his notebooks, there's a picture of his analysis of the human body split up into a square and a circle. And that really relates to the mathematics of square root of 2 and square root of 3, not really the golden section. But it was one theory of the shapes and how the proportions are designed in the body. And Corbusier was an architect much of the 1900s later on, and he took that up as a theory of his design, saying that he saw the golden section in the proportions of the hand to the arm and of the eyes onto the face and so on. And he designed a whole set of proportions which he said he could use in buildings to have a human element to the design based on the golden section. It's one theory of design, it's one way of doing things, whereas other people have designed their music in the same way, or indeed pictures in art. They say you can see classical designs, classical pictures have a divide up in golden proportions, but that's quite controversial really. So while people were looking at the idea of the golden section as a proportion which is found in nature and perhaps a beautiful proportion, then people started looking at it and say in the design of the face we mentioned that your eyes are not in the middle of your head, they're probably about 0.6 of the way up, and the mouth and the nose seem to be about 0.6 of the way between the eyes and the chin, and the width of the nose to the width of the eyes again look as if they're not 1 to 2, but they're more like 2/3 or this golden section ratio. And so various people have looked at a beautiful design for the face being based on the golden section. One in particular is Steve Marquardt, who's a plastic surgeon in California, and he analysed pictures of many civilizations of different ages, many thousands of pictures, and boiled the shape of the face down to based on decagons and pentagons, which again involve the golden ratio, and came up with a design because he could use them if a face was badly damaged in an accident to know where to put things back. And Eddie Levine, a dentist in London in Harley Street, uses the golden section to proportion teeth. If you look at the way the first tooth is from the second, it's about 1.6 times bigger and going back, and he has a little device to set teeth in to give a beautiful smile. And Steve Marquardt analysed it was different cultures, different races, as well as different ages, men and women, children and adults, and came up with a design which he now uses to structure the face based on these golden proportions. So we've gone from Euclid looking at geometry and his study of the beautiful symmetries of three-dimensional shapes and flat shapes and the way that the golden section appears there, all the way through to its use as a arithmetic exercise and to practice your decimal arithmetic, and through to design of buildings and the related series of the Fibonacci numbers, the way that you're going to eat vegetables and fruit every day, you're eating the Fibonacci numbers, and indeed using your credit card, the shape of the credit card being a golden rectangle. It's finding its applications today in the design of buildings and applications in music, as well as being an active area for research in terms of its many properties that are still being investigated and found applications for. It's a number which is still finding new applications today, and yet is one of the most ancient numbers that we know.